Have you ever wondered how these auto-darkening welding helmets work? Well, today we're going to show you how and talk about different features that you want in a welding helmet. Welcome to our channel. Here we're going to talk about issues that are important to every homeowner, as well as talk about emergency management issues and home repairs. When I started welding, I got this auto-darkening welding helmet in my kit. It's pretty cheap, but it works really effectively. And it got me wondering about how do these work and what did they use before this? Well, before these auto-darkening helmets came out, they actually used just basically like metal cans with dark window film tint on it. And that would protect their eyes while they were welding. The problem is they'd have to either lift the whole helmet up and down in between welding so they could see how their welds looked and where they're actually welding at, or they'd have to flip up the little lens back and forth in between welding. And if you're doing a lot of welding, that could just be a hassle. And it would take away productivity of you actually working. And this is where auto-darkening welding helmets came to be. So before talking about how exactly they work, let's talk about some of the features that most all will have. So the first feature is the window. This is what you see through when you are welding or in between welding. When you're looking at buying a welding helmet, you probably want the biggest size window possible. Although typically the bigger the window, the more expensive the helmet's going to be. You also want to look at the controls. These are going to be either interior, exterior, or both. Both have their advantages. On the interior, they're good because they're protected from the elements when welding, so they don't get damaged if you have an errant piece of flux or metal spray. The difficulty about that is they can't be adjusted while you're actually welding. So outside controls are handy because you can adjust things while you're welding, but they are exposed. So they have their advantages and disadvantages. The main controls that you're going to see are sensitivity and delay control. So the main controls you're going to have, the main three controls you're going to have are your sensitivity, delay control, and your grind setting. So sensitivity is basically how sensitive is the detecting element going to be to trigger the darkening of the window. The delay time is going to be from when you stop welding to when it actually undarkens the window so you can see again. And then your grind setting is how dark that window is going to be when you do start to weld, which is important, and it may need to be adjusted depending on how thick or thin your welds are actually going to be. So power, let's talk about how these helmets are powered. It's going to be one of two ways or both. So for example, in this case, this helmet has actually got a solar panel up top. It's kind of like you'd see in an old school calculator, and in this case it uses that. So in this case it uses light coming in through here from when you start welding to actually power the electronics. The other type you're gonna see is actually a battery system, and it uses a battery that's stored more than likely on the inside of the helmet to actually turn off and on the window to darken the helmet. So how do these actually work? Well, it's actually pretty ingenious. The screen right here, or on all of them, is actually based on an LCD screen technology, kind of like you would see in a calculator. So what happens is, you start welding, right? The bright light from the welding actually activates arc sensors in here. In this case, there's two right in between the screen and the panel. In some, there may be four. And what that does is it tells the either battery or the solar panel to activate the LCD screen. And when the LCD screen activates, it darkens, kind of like the lines darken on a calculator when it activates that specific line. It does the same thing here. It just darkens that whole screen and it darkens to the setting that you have it on the side. Then, when you stop welding, the arc sensors determine that, hey, there's no more welding because there's no more bright light. And then depending on your delay setting, it'll either come back relatively quickly or a little bit longer time so you can see what you're doing and see where your welding is at. So these are good because they not only block bright lights, but they also block UV and IR radiation. So they'll protect your eyes if you do a lot of welding as well. Really, you can think of it like a set of blinds. When you start welding, someone comes in and says, hey, close the blinds. So they come in and turn the LCD screen on, which basically in a sense closes the blinds and makes that darker. Then when you're done welding, it says, hey, open the blinds, and come in and open the blinds back up and lets you see again. So these helmets are awesome. They can help with productivity whether you're doing a small amount of welding or a large amount of welding. This is because it lets the user continually weld without having to lift the helmet up and down or open up the shade. This one, like I said, I did get in my kit with my welder, but I do need to get a nicer one. So I went and did a bunch of research and I found out two helmets that are actually really nice that I put in the description below. I got two variants. I got a budget-friendly model, which was very well rated on Amazon, and it's about $32, $33 and has all the features you could really need. And then you got the really nice 3M welding helmets. It's like 300 bucks. It is really nice. If you do a lot of welding, I recommend spending some good money on a good helmet just to make sure you are well protected and stay safe while you're doing your work. So that's basically it about welding helmets. Not a whole lot to them, but it was something really interesting that I thought a lot of other people might have the same curiosity about. If you guys have any more questions about it, comments, or if I missed anything or messed it up, it's always possible, go ahead and put them in the comments below so we can talk about it, fix it, and make it right. Thanks a lot for watching, y'all. If you would, consider please subscribing down below and also hitting that bell icon to be notified of all of our new videos that do come out each and every week. Thanks a lot, y'all. Have a good one.